Hello students, today we will discuss a part of diffraction. In diffraction we have already covered the single slit diffraction, double slit diffraction, also diffraction with n number of slits, that is grating, and these were the Fraunhofer class of diffraction. Today we will see some classes and varieties of Fresnel diffraction. In Fresnel diffraction we will start from the postulates, then we will go towards the zone plate. We will look at the possibilities of the half Fourier zone, and we will try to draw an analogy between the zone plate and the convex lens. So to begin with, let me show you that which are the cases where you can expect diffraction and where not. Suppose I am considering I have some aperture where the aperture, if it is a, width of the aperture, and a, it is much less than lambda, that is the wavelength of the light used. In that case the screen will not be properly illuminated and there is no possibility of getting any diffraction. If a is of the order of lambda, then only diffraction is possible. And if a is much greater than lambda, that is in case of your household windows, you get the sunlight is coming through the window but you are not getting any diffraction. In that case you will expect only general illumination. But the condition for diffraction is a, that is the aperture of the sharp edge or the obstacle or the slit, that should be of the order of the wavelength of the light used. In Fresnel class of diffraction, the Fresnel postulates important parts are, I am going through it, you can find it in any book. First we have to consider that every element of an unobserved wavefront through an amplitude through an aperture acts as a secondary source of disturbance. What do I mean by disturbance? Suppose I am considering these are the wavefronts and this is colliding with the sharp edge of an obstacle where the width of the obstacle is of the order of lambda, then in that case I can expect diffraction to occur. And if these are the primary wavefronts, as soon as it is colliding on the obstacle, each point in the clear space, they will behave as secondary source of light, that is they will create the secondary wavelets. Disturbance means the total value of y, that is called also disturbance. The amplitude of the disturbance at any point p, suppose I am having any point p here, p is the point and this is the primary source of light, so the amplitude of the light or wave reaching at the point p, they will depend upon four parameters. First of all, number one, it will be proportional to the amplitude of disturbance of these elements at the slit. Proportional to the amplitude of the disturbance at these elements, suppose I am having this obstacle and it is having some particular displacement, suppose it is y, so at the point p it will be proportional to y. Secondly, number two, it will be proportional to the area of the obstacle or area of the slit. Thirdly, it will be inversely proportional to the distance. This distance, suppose this distance is x, it will be inversely proportional to the distance. And fourth, most important, that is it will be proportional to the obliquity, that is the angle between the direction of the secondary wavefront and the point P. Suppose from this particular point the secondary wavefronts are propagating in this particular direction and it is having a particular direction like that, and P point is situated here, so the amplitude at this point P, this will be a function of theta also, that is the angle between the direction of the secondary wavefronts and the direction between the point of interest. So I will be using now this The postulate tells that according to Huygens principle, if I am having the primary source of light, it is sending some primary wave fronts. The primary wave fronts are colliding in the sharp edge of an obstacle or in a slit or any aperture, then it will be producing secondary sources of light or secondary wave fronts. Then the intensity of the light at the point P can be measured from the square of the amplitude reaching at that particular point. The square of the amplitude, that is intensity or amplitude, will be a function of 4 parameters. First of all, the displacement of the waves at that point. Secondly, it will be proportional to the area. Thirdly, it will be inversely proportional to the distance. And fourthly, it will be proportional or a function of the obliquity or theta, angle between the direction of propagation of light and the point. So if I proceed now, okay, let me write this, or not, otherwise you will forget. It is proportional to the amplitude at slit, second proportional to area, thirdly inversely proportional to area, distance, inversely proportional to the distance, and fourthly a function of theta, the angle. So let me now consider one realistic case. In this realistic case, suppose I am considering I am having a source of light here, this is S, it is sending some primary wave fronts, and I have a point P, this is the point P. At that particular point, I want to find the disturbance. What to do? Now first, I will connect these 2 points, and suppose I am having some aperture or obstacle here whose area is ds. I am connecting these 2, and this will produce the secondary wave fronts here, and the secondary wave fronts may reach the point P. Light is not coming directly. Primary wave fronts colliding on the slit or the aperture here, and this is bending in a particular direction reaching the point P. And what is the angle between them? Suppose the angle between the direction of propagation of light and the line joining the aperture and the point P is theta. So as I know, it will be function of theta, that I have already understood. Let me consider, these are the concentric circles. So if I consider this distance is r0, so that will also be equals to r0, because these are concentric circles, and this is the center of the circle or center of this spherical wave front. I am considering these are the spherical wave fronts propagating in a particular direction. So this is the radius, and I am considering the distance from the primary wave front and this point P equals to r0, and the distance from the slit and the point P is equals to r. So the displacement of the elementary area ds, displacement at the elementary area ds will be equals to y0, that will be a by r0 into e to the power I k r0. I repeat, A is what? A is the area of the slit. I am considering A is the area of the slit, and A by r0. Why A by r0? Because it is inversely proportional to the distance. The distance is r0 here. That is why 1 by r0 into e to the power I k r0. That is the phase part. So the displacement of all the waves at this point or on this aperture will be y0 e to the power I alpha, where alpha is the phase difference. Now if we write, then what will be the disturbance reaching at the point P? The disturbance reaching at the point P will be, of course, dependent upon the postulates. That is the proportional to the amplitude, proportional to the area, inversely proportional to the distance, and a function of this obliquity or theta. So I can write now the disturbance at P, if I write it as d psi, this will be equals to y0 by r, y0 by r. Now r is the distance, that is why y0 by r into e to the power I alpha, that is the phase part that I have already written, phase difference, into e to the power I k r, e to the power I k r, r is the distance, that is why e to the power I k r, into some function of theta into d sigma. So amplitude at P is given by, if I integrate it, it will be integration of, put the value of y0 now, y0 you have calculated a by r0 e to the power I k r0, so it will be a by r0, then function of theta e to the power I alpha, there is the phase part, into 1 by r e to the power I k capital R0 plus small r into d sigma. This is according to the postulates. So it is a function of theta inversely proportional to the distance and proportional to the disturbance, proportional to the area. Applying that, we will now try to solve the problems of zone plate and half-wave plate or the Fresnel half period zone. In case of Fresnel half period zone, the definition is, you can make some classes or make some distribution of the wavefront in such a way that from every area the amplitude reaching at a particular point or the waves reaching at a particular point will have a phase difference of lambda by 2 or path difference of pi. I repeat, from any point, suppose I am considering a particular zone like that. If this is one zone, suppose it is zone number 1 and this is zone number 2. So if I consider the wave coming from the zone 1 to a particular point P and another wave coming from the zone 2 to the particular point P, these two waves will have a path difference of lambda by 2 or phase difference of pi. This is the definition of half period zone. Why half? Because it is half of the wavelength or half of the total phase. That is why it is called half period zone. So I will now try to distribute any wavefront in such classes so that this condition be satisfied. That is, for every zone the waves will have or waves will carry path difference of lambda by 2 or phase difference of pi. How will be the diagram? Suppose I am having a point P here and this point P is sending some spherical wavefronts in 3 dimensions. So you consider the spherical wavefronts in 3 dimensions. Let these are having per a particular, all the waves or all the spheres are concentric and they are having some different radii. If I place a particular plane here, suppose I am placing a particular plane ABCD, the concentric spheres, this will cut a particular disk or particular, let me try to give it in some lucid language. What I'm trying to say, suppose I'm having some concentric spheres like that, and I am placing a plane here. This is the plane. Now look, if you imagine in 3 dimension, this sphere will cut the plane on the particular plane. If the plane is like that, the sphere is cutting on the plane. On the plane, the sphere will cut a disk. The second sphere will cut another disk. The third sphere will cut another disk. So what I am trying to do, there are several concentric spheres because P point is sending some spherical wavefronts, and this will cut different disks on that particular ABCD plane. And I am considering the concentric spheres. The concentric spheres which are being generated from point P are having radius of progressive order of lambda by 2. If the perpendicular distance between the point P and the disk, suppose this point is O, the perpendicular distance, if it is B, then the first sphere will have the radius B. The second sphere will have the radius B plus lambda by 2. The third sphere will have the radius B plus lambda by 3. So and so on. So these are the concentric spheres which is going to cut some disks on the ABCD plane. So the second disk will look like this point, and it will cut a disk like that. The third one will cut a disk here like that. The fourth one will cut a disk here like that, and so on. And what about the radii? First one is B, the second one will be B plus lambda by 2, the third one will be B plus lambda by 3, the fourth one will be B plus lambda by 4, and so on. Now the disks or the annular region between two concentric disks will be called a half period zone, because it will appear in such a way that wave coming from any, considering consecutive two half period zones, will have the path difference of lambda by 2 or phase difference of pi. Because I have intentionally made it such that the first one, if you consider, it is having the radii B, the second one is having the radii B plus lambda by 2. So if I consider concentric two disks, and this is the region, it is called the first half period zone. The annular region between the second disk and the first disk, this will be called the second half period zone. The annular region between the third disk and the second disk will be called third half period zone, and so on. What we have to now calculate, we have to see what will be the area of the half period zones. Will this be same or this will be different? We can calculate it easily. Let me give the heading area of half period zone. So area of the first zone, first half period zone, what it about? It will be equals to pi into, suppose this is O and I am drawing a vertical line here. This is suppose this first point is H1, the second point is H2, this third point is H3, and so on. These are the points. So the first half period zone will have the area pi into OH1 square, that is pi r square. Pi OH1 from this triangle. Suppose you are considering the triangle POH1. From the triangle, applying the hypotenuse, you can easily write it will be equals to pi into PH1 square minus PO square. So it will actually be pi into PH1 for the second line. This is equals to B plus lambda by 2 its whole square, PO square, it is equals to B square. Calculate it neglecting the higher order terms. You will be getting approximately pi B into lambda. I have neglected the higher order terms. After that I am getting this one. Calculate now second half period zone. And this is all about pi OH2 square minus OH1 square. That is the annular region between the second disk and the first disk. So I am proceeding in the same way. I am writing it pi, and this will be B plus twice lambda by 2 whole square minus B plus lambda by 2 whole square. Neglecting the higher order terms, you will be getting just pi B into lambda. So what I can conclude, the area of all the half period zones are equal, and this is equals to pi B lambda, area of half period zone, any half period zone. Now we can calculate the radius of the zones. So if I write now radius of first zone, let it be equals to r1. So I can write pi r1 square equals to pi b lambda. I have calculated the area of the first half period zone to be like that. So pi r1 square equals to pi b lambda. So I can write r1 equals to whole root over of pi cancels out, b lambda. Let me write it as 1 into b lambda. For the radius of second zone, let it be r2. So I can write pi r2 square. This will be equals to what? Pi r2 square. You have to consider, remember, area of the half period zone is pi b lambda. It is equals to the annular region in between. But whenever you are applying the law of the circle or law of the disk, you have to consider the whole disk. For the whole disk, what will be the area? You are now considering pi r2 square. That is pi r2 square is this one. So you have to consider this whole area of the second disk. So what will be the whole area of the second disk? The first disk is giving you pi b lambda. Second disk will give you area again pi b lambda. So it will be twice pi b lambda. So you can write r2 will be equals to r2 equals to whole root over of twice b lambda. So now I can generalize, Rn will be equals to whole root over of n b lambda. For the first one it is 1, the second one it is 2, for the third one it is 3, for the nth one it is n. Remember the value. This will be required later for further calculations. Now if I do a calculation where I am not considering the higher order values, for all the half period zones I will be calculating whole of the value. I will not approximate or neglect the higher order values. Then what I should get? For the first half period, let this be the first half period zone, this is the second half period zone, this is the third half period zone, and this is the point of interest P. Let us consider any arbitrary value. Then what will be the area of nth half period zone? Let us consider that this is the point O, and for any region, any arbitrary value, suppose this is n number, so this point is this hn, and this point is hn plus 1. So I am writing, approximating first, OH1 equals to Rn, nth half period zone, and OH2, next half period zone, that is Rn plus 1 or minus 1, anything you can consider. Let I am considering it n minus 1, nth half period, OH2, any value in between, or you can consider it is plus minus 1, anything. If it is greater than the previous one, then it will be plus 1. If it is less than the previous one, then it will be minus 1. Any value you can consider. Otherwise it will be a top or a bottom. In different books you will find different calculations. That's why I have shown you with two different values. Now the area AN means the area in between these two half period zones, or I can write the area of nth half period zone is given by area of nth half period zone, it will be given by pi into Rn square minus pi Rn minus 1 whole square, and you know the value pi. Then what will be the value of Rn? Rn you have already calculated. Rn you can easily calculate from bn square minus b square, and this will be bn minus 1 square minus b square. So put the values now. It will be pi into first function bn square. Bn square, the value will be equals to b plus, for bn means nth order, so n lambda by 2 whole square minus b square, again this one bn square, bn minus 1 square, bn minus 1 square means it will be b, minus is already there, b minus n minus 1 into lambda by 2 whole square minus minus plus b square. B square will cancel out, and finally neglecting the higher order terms, you will be getting a term pi into bn into lambda. This is an, this is area of any arbitrary nth half period zone. Now the value of bn was what? The first value was b, the perpendicular distance. The second one, this was b plus lambda by 2. The third one was b plus lambda by 3 lambda by 3, b into 2 lambda by 2, and so on. There's a multiple of lambda by 2. So for the first half period zone, I am getting the distance between the point P and the half period zone was equals to b. For the second one, I am getting b plus lambda by 2. For the third one, I am getting b plus 2 lambda by 2. For the third one I am getting b plus 3 lambda by 2 and so on. So for nth order the value will be b plus n lambda by 2. Now you can easily understand the value of the distance between the point P and any particular half period zone increases with the increase in value of n. So I can conclude here that with increase in order number of the half period zone, the area will go on increasing because it is pi bn into lambda. Pi and lambda is constant, but bn, that is increasing with increase in order number n. So though we have calculated just before some time the area of half period zones, all the areas of the half period zones are constant, but if you put actual calculation, that is calculating it without any approximation or without neglecting the higher order terms, you will be getting that the area of the half period zone is not constant, it is a function of the order number, and it increases with increase in order number. Now let us check out what will be the displacement calculation at the point P. If I again draw it, suppose these are the different zones, this is the point P. What I am trying to calculate, the distance between the center of the zones and the point P, if it is B. For the first half period the distance is B, the second half period, for the third half period and fourth half period the distance will go on changing. For the first one it is B, for the second one it will be equals to B plus lambda by 2, for the third one it will be B plus 2 lambda by 2, for the third one it will be B plus 3 lambda by 2, and for the fourth one it will be B plus 4 lambda by 2. That is, if you consider any consecutive two zones, the waves coming from these two different zones will have the path difference of lambda by 2 or phase difference of pi. Now we have to calculate the displacement at the point P. So the displacement at the point P, d, will be equals to d1 plus d2 plus d3 plus dot 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 plus dn, that is the displacement coming from different zones, and it will be dependent on which factors that already we have considered. First one, it will be a function of the area. First one, function of area of the zone. Second one, it will be inversely proportional to the distance. Third one, it will be a function of obliquity or the angle theta, and actual value if we consider, it will be a function of 1 plus cos of theta. Obliquity is 1 plus cos theta. So first let us consider how it is dependent on the area. It is proportional to area. How it is dependent on distance? It is inversely proportional to the distance and proportional to the obliquity. So area, that we know. What is the area of the zones? It is pi b lambda. Area of the zones, that is known to us. Area of all the zones are constant, pi b lambda. Distance of the zones. Distance of the zones from the point P, is it constant? No, it is increasing by the factor lambda by 2. The first one it is lambda by 2, for the second one it is 2 lambda by 2, for the third one it is 3 lambda by 2. It is increasing with order number. So if I consider any particular zone, what is the distance or general formula for the distance? To generalize the formula, suppose I am considering this particular zone, the shaded one. The shaded zone I am considering. From the shaded zone, what will be the distance between the shaded zone and the point P? So if I consider the lower line gives me the value b plus 3 lambda by 2. The upper line gives me the value b plus 4 lambda by 2. So I will take always the mean distance. That is the mean distance between these two lines. So how to take the mean distance? the mean distance will always be half of b plus n lambda by 2. This is for nth zone, plus the lower one, that is b plus n minus 1 into lambda by 2. Solve this one, you will be getting b plus 2n minus 1 into lambda by 4. This is the distance. N is any arbitrary value. So I can write the displacement at any point dn. It will be proportional to the distance, that is pi b lambda. Pi b lambda is the area. Proportional to pi b lambda, there is area. Then inversely proportional to the distance. What is the distance? Mean distance for dn, n any order number. It is b plus what we have calculated, 2n minus 1 into lambda by 4. Inversely proportional to the power minus 1 and proportional to the obliquity, that is 1 plus cos of theta. Remember this one. This is the definition for displacement from the half period zones for any arbitrary order number n, that is nth half period zone at the point P, will be a function like that. Proportional to the area, inversely proportional to the distance, proportional to the obliquity. Now you can consider the value of this d1, d2, d3. This will go on increasing, that we have already seen. Distance will go on increasing, so it will be dependent on the factor only theta, because these two factors will compensate each other. If you increase the order number, these two will always compensate each other, but theta will go on increasing because theta is the obliquity. Look, from this line the angle theta is changing with increase in order number. So if the order number is increasing, the value of theta will increasing. What is the lowest value of theta? 0. Highest value of this theta, this may be from this angle to up to that angle, that is 90 degree. Then cos 90 degree equals to 0, but cos 0 equals to 1. So for lower value of theta, I am getting higher value of this dn. So I can say that for the lower order number d1, that will be greater than d2, that will be greater than d3 dot 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 dn. Now we can calculate the phase at the point P. Then what will be the phase consideration at the point P? I can write d equals to d1 minus d2 plus d3 plus d4 plus dot 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 etc. plus minus 1 whole to the power n plus 1 into dn. Why I have written this consecutive plus minus? Because I know, as I am considering the phase for different two zones or consecutive two zones, the phase reaching at the point P will have the phase difference of pi or path difference of lambda by 2. Path difference of lambda by 2 is commensurate with phase difference of pi. So phase difference of pi means these are in opposite phases. As these are in opposite phases, always I am expecting two consecutive zones to have in different phase. Plus, minus, plus, then this will be again minus, then plus, then minus, plus, and so on. Any two consecutive zones will have different phase. Now we can consider first for case 1 that n is odd. If n is odd in number, you can consider any odd value. Suppose it is 3. 1, 2, 3. 3 is any odd value. So you can see it can be written 1 plus then 1 minus. And you can always write then d as first d1 plus 2 plus, I am rewriting it as d1 plus d3 by 2 minus d2 plus dot dot etc. and last function will be equals to dn by 2. These will compensate each other. All the values will cancel out, and approximately you will be getting d1 by 2 plus dn by 2. Similarly, case 2, if you consider n is even, any even value, then approximately you will be getting d equals to d1 by 2 minus dn by 2. And just before some time, we have already seen that d1 is greater than d2 is greater than d3 dot dot etc greater than dn, that we have seen. So for these two, this one and that one, these two calculations, neglecting the higher order dn by 2, we can neglect it. So always d will be of the order of d1 by 2. So as you have calculated d, I know intensity is proportional to the amplitude square. That is, it is proportional to d square. If I take the proportionality constant to be 1, I can write it I equals to d square. If I take the proportionality constant to be 1. So instead of this, if I put now the intensity at the point P, this will be I equals to d square. What is the value of d? D equals to d1 by 2 whole square. That means d1 square by 4, that I can write I by 4. So this is my general formula, that intensity at the point 4 will always be approximately 4 times lesser than the intensity coming from the first zone. Now we proceed towards zone plate. Zone plate is the consideration that it is one imaginary plane which will give you the correlation between the source and the screen. Suppose I am having, this is the midpoint or any point on which I am drawing a perpendicular line perpendicular to the plane of the paper like that, and this is the source and this is the point of interest. If I am drawing here one perpendicular line where this line is vertically upwards perpendicular to the plane of the paper, and I divide this line with different zones, like this point be P, this is M1, this is M2, this is M3 dot dot etc, and from S the light is coming in this direction, getting obstacled here and coming towards point O. I am joining all the lines. Now if the division is in such a way that the signal or wave coming from two different zones are having the wavelength or path difference of lambda by 2, then we can call it a zone plate. A zone plate is the imaginary plate which is dividing the zones, dividing the wavefront into several zones as per the conditions of Fresnel diffraction, that is between two consecutive zones the path difference will be lambda by 2 or phase difference will be pi. So if this is the zone plate, then the condition to be satisfied is SM1 plus M1 into O, or SM1, this distance plus that distance, will be equals to U plus V plus lambda by 2. If I consider this distance is U and this distance is V, that is the distance between the source and the screen or source at the zone plate equals to U, and zone plate and the point is V, then I can write this. Similarly, I can write SM2 plus M2 into O will be equals to U plus V into plus 2 lambda by 2. For nth order, Smn plus mn into O will be equals to u plus v plus n lambda by 2, like this. So what I am trying to say, the zone plate is the imaginary concept which can divide the secondary wavefronts into different zones, and signals coming from two consecutive zones will have the path difference of lambda by 2. See, for the first one it is u plus v plus lambda by 2, for second one u plus v plus 2 lambda by 2, if this condition is being satisfied. Now we have to calculate, like the previous one, we have to calculate now the area of the zones. What will be the area of different zones? How we can consider the zones? I will take the radius. Suppose this radius is PM1. I will consider one imaginary circle. The area of this will be the area of the zone. For the second one, again I will consider another imaginary circle. The annular region between this will be the area of the zone. And similarly, I will proceed. As you have seen the previous calculation, in this calculation I will try to skip some steps and to minimize time, and notes is already being shared with you, and you have the books with you, so you can understand it while going through the books. I am trying to show the calculation or the process of calculation. Let us calculate the area of the zones. From the figure we can write Smn square, nth order, that will be equals to u square plus Rn square, any nth order. If you forgot the figure, I am rewriting the figure for you. This was the figure, this is the S, this is O. I am considering any nth order. This is U and this is V. For any nth order, this will be equals to this line. Suppose I am considering this to be the radius. The radius, suppose the radius is Rn, and this line will give you the value Sm square. This is Mn. Smn square equals to u square plus Rn square. You are getting the point from perpendicular angle triangle. Similarly, I can write Smn is equals to u square is taken common, and after root it will be Rn square by u square whole to the power half. Neglecting the higher order values, after the binomial expansion, I can write it u plus 1 plus Rn square divided by 2i u square. Similarly, for this side you can write OMN. For the left hand side you can write OMN. This will be equals to V1 plus Rn square divided by 2i V square, neglecting the higher order terms. Now already you have seen the condition for zone plate to be satisfied, and the condition for zone plate was this Smn plus Mn into O, that to be u plus v plus n into lambda by 2. For nth order it will be n lambda by 2. Now put the values both the sides. If you put the values both the sides, you are putting the value of Sm. Sm is this one actually reduced value, and the value will be u into 1 plus Rn square divided by 2i u square, plus this will be v1 plus Rn square divided by 2i v square equals to u plus v plus n lambda by 2. This is very simple. Some terms will cancel both the sides, and finally you will be getting a term like Rn square will be equals to uv divided by u plus v into n lambda. Rn square is the radius of nth half period zone or nth zone. So I can write Rn, radius of nth half period zone, to be uv divided by u plus v into n lambda whole to the power half. Then how can you calculate the area of the zone? Radius is already calculated. Area of nth zone. Suppose it is an, area of nth half period zone, then it will be equals to pi into Rn square minus Rn minus 1 square. You are taking the annular region between two consecutive zones, this annular region. So Rn minus 1. So put the value Rn, it will be n only. For Rn minus 1, this will be n minus 1. If you put these values, you will be getting pi into uv lambda divided by u plus v. This will be an. Now check it out. The area, you are getting all the terms to be constant. So area of all the half period zones will be constant in case of zone plate. This is constant. Now from this equation, if I write this only this uv divided by u plus v, that will be equals to Rn square divided by n lambda. Taking reciprocal, I can write 1 by u plus 1 by v equals to n lambda divided by Rn square. Look, this equation is quite similar to the equation generally you see in case of convex lens. In case of lens, you see the formula 1 by u plus 1 by v equals to 1 by f, and in case of zone plate I am getting 1 by u plus 1 by v equals to n lambda divided by Rn square. So by similarity between these two equations, I can write 1 by fn equals to these two, the right hand side, left hand sides are equal, right hand side 1 by fn will be equals to n lambda divided by Rn square. So from that you can calculate the focal length of zone plate, fn equals to Rn square divided by n lambda. So a small problem or multiple choice problem can be asked from this formula. Then calculate the area of the zone plate and see that so that the areas of zone plates are equal, and you have to compare the equation of the focal length for convex lens and zone plates and drag a relationship between them. And finally, if the values of the u and v, that is the distance of the source from the zone plate and distance of the point of interest from the zone plate is given, you have to calculate the focal length. Also, it may be asked that what are the comparisons between the zone plate and convex lens. I am going through this as the last topic of today's class. Both form real images for real objects. Equation of convex lens is like that and equation of zone plate is like that. The equation is little different. Only one focus for convex lens and multiple foci for zone plates. Why? There are different zones. It depends upon the order number. So for convex lens you are only getting single focus point or single, but here you are getting different foci because it depends upon the value of n. The greater the value of n or the different the value of n, you are getting different focus points. The convex lens, the focal length is directly proportional to the wavelength of the light, that is f is proportional to lambda, but in case of zone plate it is inversely proportional to the lambda. These are the main comparisons between the convex lens and the zone plate. So with that I conclude today. Next day we will see the classifications of diffraction, and we will try to understand the diffraction for straight edge and diffraction for circular edge or any sharp edge of an obstacle. There is a different classes of diffraction. And one thing I want to mention, probably in the beginning of the class, when I gave you the understanding of the half period zone at very first of today's class, yes, this one, probably you have missed one thing. These values were not written correct. This will be, the first value will be b plus lambda by 2, second will be 2 into lambda by 2, for the third one it will be b plus 3 lambda by 2. Otherwise all the things are okay, and we have calculated accordingly. It will not be 3 lambda by 2, it will be 3 into lambda by 2, not 4 lambda by 2, 4 into lambda by 2. This will be 4 into lambda by 2. This will be b into 1 into lambda by 2, b into 2 into lambda by 2. This will be 3 into lambda by 2. You make the necessary correction, all other calculations are okay. Thank you.